The National Investor's motto is, you can get information anywhere, but here you get knowledge. And for well over 40 years now, Chris Temple has imparted that knowledge, an unparalleled, understandable, and useful take on the big picture of the markets and of our world. He has been out in front of what you see on the news every day on many themes. More, Chris has taken this macro knowledge and his unique analytical abilities to uncover unique investment opportunities. Often, he has guided his members to big winners in resources, biotech stocks, and more. His talents and connections often getting him into ground floor opportunities before they are discovered. Without further ado, here is Chris with today's topic.
Greetings and Happy New Year. I'm Chris Temple, editor and publisher of the National Investor, and today I'm bringing you an introduction to a company called BioLargo Incorporated. They're listed on the over-the-counter bulletin board here in the U.S. under the symbol BLGO. One of the more interesting companies that I've ever come across. They've been a recommendation of mine for over a year now to our paid members. And one of the ways I've explained it to people, especially those who have got some understanding of the mining sector and resource exploration and so forth, is that this company, which is all about environmental remediation, a lot of different cutting-edge technology to make our planet cleaner and safer, our water cleaner and safer, etc. It's very much like a prospect generator. You know, there's a lot of companies out there that have a myriad of properties, all grassroots exploration and so forth. And the model and the hope is that they further one or more of these projects to a place where they can monetize it in a significant way. That might be by bringing in a larger partner, it might be by vending it to somebody, etc. And in much the same way, BioLargo, with several moving parts, several very intriguing businesses, is pretty much put together a portfolio itself of a number of businesses and opportunities that over time we hope it will monetize as well. Now shortly I'm going to bring on the CEO, Dennis Calvert, to give you an overview of the main components of BioLargo's businesses, especially one which right before Christmas they had a major long-awaited breakthrough on. But before we do that, I want to give you a quick, just over 3-minute video introduction, very nicely produced by BioLargo itself, which will kind of set the table for that before I bring Dennis on. So watch and I'll be right back.
At BioLargo, we focus on clean air, clean water, and a cleaner earth. We're an environmental science and engineering firm delivering meaningful solutions to some of the biggest environmental challenges that face our planet. A clean tech innovator with a portfolio of products and services to make life better through talent, technology, and purpose. We have an established IP portfolio. We have nearly 100 awarded grants. We have peer-reviewed science, a number of academic reports, and 20 international collaborations. BioLargo is one part brain trust, one part engineering project integrator. Our family of companies develop innovative products and deliver engineering solutions to take our product to market.
We are scientists and engineers who discovered that natural cycles in the atmosphere, like the iodine cycle, can be emulated with technology to create more affordable and sustainable solutions for water treatment facilities, air quality control, and clean earth projects.
BioLargo developed its technologies from the ground up to help solve some of the biggest environmental challenges of our time. We use less chemistry, less electricity, and more efficient, more reuse. We let nature work for us.
Per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, or so-called forever chemicals, are now known to contaminate water around the world and cause problems for human and ecological health. There's an enormous global market for PFAS treatment, from drinking water treatment to environmental remediation. Our technology, the aqueous electrostatic concentrator, the AEC, removes PFAS from water effectively, affordably, and in a way that is eco-friendly.
It saves our customers money. The environmental impact is 1/1000th of that of a carbon system. We believe the AEC represents the low-cost, high-impact option to help solve this crisis all over the world.
The Advanced Oxidation System, AOS, is our patented and innovative advanced water treatment technology
that marries advances in iodine electrochemistry with cutting-edge materials engineering. The result is a water treatment platform that provides high-level disinfection against bacteria, viruses, and protozoa, and elimination of hard-to-treat organic contaminants, all while consuming less electricity than any competing technology.
We at O&M Environmental have a reputation of delivering the highest quality and most dependable air quality control solutions and deployment systems, even in some of the toughest on-the-ground conditions in the industry. Our products are used by the 5 largest waste treatment companies in the country to eliminate odors and improve the quality of life in the surrounding communities.
We've put the right infrastructure in place. We've established the right team. We've landed the right pilot projects, and we've been on a journey of collaboration since our inception. At BioLargo, the hardest work is done. We've done the invention work. We've proven their commercial viability as we grow organically. We have strategic partnerships. We're doing licensing deals. The business opportunities are endless. We now have critical mass in place with the right people at the right time, solving some of the greatest problems facing our Earth. The vision for BioLargo is to be synonymous with clean air, clean water, clean Earth.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that. You're going to find a lot more enjoyable here in just a minute because I'm now introducing my buddy, Dennis Calvert, the CEO of BioLargo Incorporated. Dennis, Happy New Year to you also.
Oh, Happy New Year. It's going to be a big one.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. You know, we're going to get to the big news that you ended the year with in just a second. But
Sure.
Before we do that, the obligatory slides that I want to put up here real quick, Dennis and or myself may be making forward-looking statements as they're defined by the regulators. So we want you to be aware of that. And secondly, here at National Investor Publishing, we are compensated to do some additional video and editorial work, copywriting and whatnot to help BioLargo tell its story. This is in addition to my having prior to that recommended the company to my paid subscribers at the National Investor. So we want you to be aware of that as well. Couple other quick housekeeping things. Number one, here on the screen, you see again a lot of the contact information for BioLargo. You know, Dennis and I today are going to give you just a really quick Cliff Notes overview of all the moving parts, but there's way more fun at stake here. There's way more involved, a lot more information. So please avail yourself of their website, their resources, sign up for their mailing list. And last but not least on that score, concurrent with this video we're putting out that's going to run through the winter and into the early spring, a special issue of the National Investor on story stocks, of which BioLargo is one of my favorites. So if you're not already on my list, make sure that you sign up for that as well. There, now our commercial messages are really out of the way, Dennis, and we can really roll up our sleeves and get into the nitty gritty. You know, when I first learned of your company going on a couple of years ago now, I guess it was, what struck me the most was the technology that you have through your AEC process to remediate PFAS contamination in water, which is a global problem. It is widely recognized everywhere you look. And all of us have been wondering, gee, when is BioLargo going to get that first deal? Well, right before Christmas, you got an early Christmas present. You got your first deal. So tell us about, real quick, because we have seen the video, but give us a couple of nuts and bolts about why BioLargo's system is better, more efficient, and cheaper than other remediation programs that are out there, and then into the specifics of your contract with New Jersey municipality.
Yeah, sure. Perfect. And thanks for having me. This is great. I'm happy to share it. As you mentioned, it's a long time coming, right? Growing up, he always said, you know, when you get to the state championship game, would you please act like you've been there before? And so we've been at that championship game now for years, and we're finally actually there. But, you know, in our mind and with our technology, we knew we'd be there, right? We just knew it. And so now we get to sort of punch that button and say, okay, we got that one out of the way. And there's a bunch more coming. That's the trick. You know, this first one is really good for a number of reasons. Number one is it's small enough to where it's a really nice first start. You know, when you talk about this technology and scale up and adoption, engineers, they worry about perfection, and we worry about perfection. I mean, when we go to market, you know, it's got to be perfect. It can't fail. It's got to hit the mark. It's got to save customers money. Got to do the job. And so the ability to kind of get started this way sets the stage for much greater things. And we've got a backlog of really a pipeline of opportunities. We've been marketing into the space for a little over a year. So to knock one out, and we were actually specified in this project by the client. Specified means it was a public works project. That means it goes out to bid. and we were specified as the technology of choice. That's a big deal. In other words, the client had enough knowledge and comfort that we were going to win on a scaled up design that they said, let's do it, put it out to the general contractors for the construction. So we've actually known this was coming for some time, but then you have to go through all that paperwork and button it up and cross the T's, and that all got done. And so now the purchase orders are placed, the contract's in place. It'll take about 9 to 10 months or so to really get fully installed. We'll recognize revenue as we have deliverables, right? So a lot of this is probably going to show up Q2, well, probably Q3 actually, maybe Q4. And this project's about $500,000, which is awesome. Okay, now in the scheme of PFAS remediation, that's a pretty small account. You know, that's not a big account. And again, go back to the idea of perfection. You know, when we say to a customer, we're going to deliver, I mean, we're going to deliver and we stand behind it. So starting this way and scaling up is a smart move, and our engineers are really happy. We've got some much bigger projects. We always say they range from about $500,000 all the way up to like $7.5 million. And so we're getting a swell of interest now in the technology because we have value propositions that others simply can't match.
Well, and you mentioned to me before that with all the different negotiations that have been ongoing and still are ongoing with potential additional customers, even before this this municipality in New Jersey, that it's kind of like who's gonna jump first, because the acceptable way of doing things is to use these big monstrous systems, many times more expensive than what you guys are doing, and but less efficient. You know,
Well,
and
it's terribly inefficient. You know, there's a mandate when you're doing. You got to remember too. Let me back up 2 seconds. And our engineers have been doing environmental remediation for 30 years. I mean, this is not like we're figuring it out. We've been doing our team members are professionals in this space. We have a device that's customized and built for PFAS. But what they've been doing is the training ground for what we're doing now. So people say, I hope they get a first one. It's like, no. We hope we get our first 100. We think this is going to go big. All right. So that's number one. It's extraordinarily qualified people. So then the innovation is special because we can super concentrate. And I remember when we first started the innovation, our head of engineering, Randall Moore, who's again 30 years in the field, I asked him one time how many projects he'd been involved in. And he said, what do you mean? I said, how many projects in your career? He said, oh, maybe 4,000. You know, these are people with experience at a global level, at the highest level. Okay. So when we started this innovation, Randy looked me in the eye and he said, look, here's the trick. You have to super concentrate the contaminant. You can't trade one problem for another. Okay, one problem for another, right? And so the industry immediately went into what they knew, which was carbon filters. So carbon's been around forever, and carbon works on a principle called adsorption. So there's this binding effect on the surface of the carbon, and it grabs these molecules and they stick with the sort of electromagnetic charge, and they bind to the surface of carbon. Okay, the problem with carbon is it grabs everything. So you end up with this massive waste stream. Okay, so you got some PFAS out of the water. Good job. Now look at the waste stream. 80,000 pounds of waste. Now what you going to do with the waste? Okay, now Q1, the regulators are passing under CERCLA and RCRA. I mean, I can't even spell them out for you, but those are the regulations that control, manage hazmat. So the waste stream that's coming out of this carbon is heading into regulatory enforcement as hazmat. What you going to do with 80,000 pounds of hazmat? I'm telling you, the market's just getting started. And so what's happened is early adopters who wanted to clean up their water for good reason, who took initiative to protect their citizens, good move, right? They jumped and they went fast. They spent a lot of money. They've got CapEx. I know a local in Orange County, California, one site is $17 million worth of carbon filters. $17 million, okay? Now, here's the problem. Carbon has a bunch of features that make it sort of not ideal for PFAS. Number one, they're measuring at 4 parts per trillion. That's like 3 or 4 grains of sand in a couple of swimming pools. Carbon can't do that. The other thing is carbon has a problem with channeling. So think about like an anthill. When water comes down an anthill, it channels, finds its rut, and then races down in a stream. Well, the same thing happens in carbon. So what happens is you're not getting even flow. You're not getting broad distribution of the liquid and the contaminants across the surface of the carbon. It can't hit 4 parts per trillion, and you get 80,000 pounds of waste. Okay, so don't trade one problem for another. And so I'm amazed. I'm amazed because what it really shows is the market doesn't know there's a better option until we show up. And of course, at first, you're relegated to people to what the industry would call a first adopter status, early adopters. And in the cycle of innovation, there's a well-known understood process of getting through early adopters over to mainstream adoption. And that's called the valley of death, right? Crossing from early adoption into mainstream. Okay, well, we're there. And here's the good news. We're going to cross the chasm in a blazing glory, and we're going to land a bunch of customers because, again, pedigree, we've got experience, value proposition extraordinary, and now our first commercial trials that'll prove scalability for this technology in the market. So what we discovered, our engineers, not me, what they discovered is that they could take an electromagnetic field in a cell, run water through the cell, and migrate the PFAS based on its charge. Migrate it in the flow of water, and then as it crosses a membrane, it sticks to the membrane like flypaper. That's the non-engineering description. Migrate it, stick it to flypaper, collect it on the membrane. And what happens is it's so efficient that we can collect easily to a non-detect status. We've proven that in a number of trials. We can also achieve a high performance efficiency in a single pass, which allows us to then collect and maintain the operation in continuity. Well, we've demonstrated that membrane lasts about a year. That's a pretty good deal. A year, and then you super concentrate the PFAS and the other salts and contaminants pass through, which means when we're done, we end up with 2 to 5 pounds. Now look, 80,000 pounds in carbon, 3 to 5 pounds of ours.
That's what I was just going to ask you, to compare the difference between the waste product. And I think it's kind of a cool story, Dennis, that you're coming along with your better technology, as it appears, at a time when regulators are going to make it more difficult to use the old technology because it is less efficient. And
the other
understandable.
thing,
I mean, it's understandable if all these PFAS, these forever chemicals, are married to this carbon. Well, they're still hazardous.
Well, you got to waste.
You got to do something. You got
and it's not that efficient. Plus, you're taking all this other stuff out of the water. Then you got to remake the water. It's really just not a well-suited solution for this problem. That's all it is. Okay, and our team looked ahead and saw what others didn't see. That's it. It's not magic. They look. Our engineers have been doing this for so long. I remember sitting with Randy. He said there was a big outcry for destruction technology. We need destruction technology, in situ destruction, meaning destroyed in the field. Okay, and our engineers looked me in the eye and said, that's never going to happen. It's going to be a hazmat. You're going to have destruction technology in remote, portable, modular sites all over the world when 48% of the drinking water in America is reported to be contaminated with PFAS? No, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is you need to super concentrate it so you can control it, collect it first, and then manage its destruction. Okay, so what we did is we put that in a service contract. So we say to our customer, look, I've got a machine that will super concentrate on site, and it's so efficient at collection that we end up with 3 to 5 pounds of waste in a year. That's nothing. Now, we can come collect it. We can come destroy it on site. We can handle it for you, whatever you like. We've actually had some government potential clients, not clients yet, say, well, we want chain of custody. And because we want chain of custody, we'd like you to come here and destroy that 5 pounds of waste. And I say, I'd just be perfectly happy to do that for you. We can do that. And so we offer a service that gives a full turnkey solution. And we warrant, of course, we stand behind the machine, no question. And then we have a replacement and a warranty package. So we have a membrane exchange. And literally, we're a turnkey solution start to finish. And it runs for years. I mean, for years. These projects, and one of the early projects we were brought in on that went through stage 1 was a big mining operation. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Big industrial client, huge operation. Well, we went through phase 1 and phase 2, which was the full implementation, paused. It didn't stop. Okay, so people were like, oh, you didn't win the account. No, we just haven't won it yet. And so why do we say that? Because what happens is in some markets, you have to go now. Okay, so what would that be? Drinking water. You have to go now. Okay, you can't, even if the regs aren't fully fleshed out and you're serving PFAS water to customers, come on, really? No, that's not going to work.
No.
Industry, though, however, is managed through EPA regulatory enforcement. So what happens is, if they're not mandated to move now, why spend the money this quarter when I can spend the money next quarter? It's that simple. And so we have a mass of industrial clients who are waiting for the regs to be final so they can make the wise choice. And if you look at the teams that adopted early, they installed millions of dollars in carbon systems, and now guess what? It's not working so good.
Yeah.
Now look, and again, I want to be more clear. The better way to say it, this is more precise, is it's removing PFAS to a level that's acceptable for drinking water. Great. Okay. In other words, they serve their constituents. But guess what? At extraordinary cost. At extraordinary cost. And they're just getting started with the cost. And so when you look at it, you say, look, good job for taking care of your citizens. Let me show you how to save a fortune. And so in some of these cases, we can actually make those systems work. But we're presenting now, gosh, we're training the trainers. So we're now doing continuing education for engineers nationwide. And one of our key leaders is Tanya Chandler, and she's awesome. 22, 23 now, or 4 years in the water industry, technical specialist, great at public speaking. She's out speaking all over the country now.
Wow.
And really, we're looking at 2 or 3 projects a week are now being presented. And so this is very important too. When people look at our company, we have 8 technologies and 4 commercial platforms, and they're all finding their way to market. We got a couple of nice wins under our belt, and more coming. PFAS is considered probably the strategic one. It's the solution that's timely for one of the biggest environmental challenges that faces the planet. Frankly, it's a big deal, and it's at a peak of interest because the government is forcing regulatory enforcement, making people do something about it finally.
I'll tell you, Dennis, if I averaged it out, I would go back since you and I met, and since I started covering BioLargo going on a couple of years ago, whatever it's been, once or twice a week, I'm reading a story about PFAS someplace. I mean, 3M Corporation with a huge judgment against it, and a lot of stuff they had to do. Was it in the Netherlands? Do you remember that story?
Oh, there's so many.
It's been everywhere in this country, in Europe, and everywhere. So this is a monstrous opportunity.
I've heard as high estimates for the total cleanup estimated at 13 trillion, just so you get perspective, right?
Yeah.
And when it started, it's a couple $1 billion market. And we had a chance to meet with some of the biggest water companies in the world early. Oh, we don't know if this is going to be a real market. I'm like, there's $1 billion worth of business 20 minutes from my office.
Yeah.
No, this is not going away.
This is huge.
Yeah, it's a nice business situation. Of course, it's sad for the world. I mean, these contaminants were used for 50 years. And if you watch the movie Dark Waters, I always tell people, watch the movie. It's on Netflix, I think, right? And it chronicles the legal battle. It's kind of like an Aaron Brockovich story,
Sure.
So it's a drama. It's entertaining. Anyway, it's a good watch. But what happens is when you're done, you go, they knew what they were doing. That's not so good. No. And so people can get kind of visceral reaction. And so and that's what's happened. The gig is up, the story's out. Okay, what's up? That stuff shouldn't have been in that environment. And it turns out that little parts per trillion for 50 years that bioaccumulate, right, is linked to cancer and birth defects. Okay, and it's everywhere. It's in our water, it's in our cosmetics, it's food, and it's in our bodies. And so there's a hierarchy of the hit list. And it starts where it's most prevalent, drinking water. It migrates in water. Okay, well, that's obvious. It's also in the air. It's in the snow. It's in the polar caps. I mean, it's on and on and on. So when you go through the hierarchy of business opportunities, people say, well, drinking water. You say, well, yeah, drinking water is a big one, but it's wastewater, it's landfills, it's food processing, it's industrial waste. I mean, and pharmaceuticals. I mean, oil and gas industry. They use PFAS all over to line the pipes that pump oil and gas. Yeah. Wow. In fact, Tanya has in her talk, she talks about it's considered a strategic chemical for military, right? It's critical in all sorts of military operations for lubricants. And anyway, it goes on and on and on. Okay. But here's the point. It's not going away in the next 10 years. And so whoever can super concentrate efficiently and then manage concentrated disposal or destruction, we think is going to be the winner. And so far, we haven't seen any technology that matches what we're doing. They just don't even touch it.
No, well, you guys have got a tiger by the tail, and that tiger is just a world-class business opportunity. I'm, personally excited for you as we
Yeah.
start this new year and how much more business you guys might get. Well, let's move on because a lot of folks out there who have never heard of BioLargo probably have heard of one of your successes to date. And that's a commercial that if you watch any number of cable channels, satellite TV, whatever, you just can't get away from the guy with the poof. That,
Yeah. This
uh,
is Poof.
yeah,
That's
they just spraying it in his mouth and how safe it is and stuff like that. That commercial again, I probably, if I average that out, see it a couple or three times a week for a
yeah.
while now.
It's on
That
CNBC and
came,
ESPN in the morning. I mean, it's everywhere. It's
yeah, and
amazing. Yeah.
one of your divisions designed that you got a strategic partner that is
Right.
now selling this all over creation on TV and Walmart stores. So give us a quick rundown and history of
Yeah.
that.
Well, so it's a great story. It's a full circle story for the company. When we started, we did an acquisition, the original BioLargo technology in the spring of 2007. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been so long. And when we started, we were struck by the breadth of its potential uses, its high impact for the greater good. I mean, it was just had all the makings of a great business. And we said, it's worthy of throwing a career in. If you told me it was going to take 16 years to find our first commercial success, I'm not sure I would have done it. But that's what it took. And we stuck with it. And the beauty is there's a great chronicle story. I won't go through all the detail, but the simple version is we dabbled in retail products. We went industrial, went vertical, built out entire tools and delivery systems and electricians and pumps, and went industrial for industrial odor, slugging away, low margin, hard work. I mean, gritty business. Became expert at odor. I mean, expert. All manufacturing techniques, all the science, all the proof, all the safety, a repository of knowledge that took literally 8 years to accumulate. And in that process, all of a sudden, a partner comes along and says, "Bing, bing, bing, you got a winner." And I go, "We knew it 8 years ago. Are you kidding me?" It's like, "Yeah, we think so too. That product can go to $1 billion." And I said, "Yeah, we think so too. It can go to $1 billion with the right partner." And they said, "Well, let's make a deal." So we made a deal, and the deal's pretty basic. They said, "If you'll give me the exclusive rights," this was organized by Ikigai Marketing Works. They formed a company called Poof Inc., and that's our partner. And so the team formed the company, did a deal with BioLargo, and they said, we'll take it to international markets in the pet odor control space if you'll give us the exclusive rights. I said, "We'll give you the exclusive rights if we can be your supply chain partner. So we'll manufacture it, cost plus, get a little royalty, and if you'll give us 20% of the equity that you build in the brand. When you sell it, we get 20% of the sale." That's a pretty good business. You think about that. That's a good structure. It allows us to then begin capitalizing on something we'd spent 8-9 years developing. And then we are truly expert. No exaggeration. We know that business and that space better, I would argue, than just about anybody in the world. So our partner comes in and says, "We have ideas about taking product to market." And I said, "Well, let us help you, please." Right? Let us help you, please. As much as you want us to, we'll help you. We know a lot. And of course, they know a lot. They've been building brands for 30 years. And when you look at their history, they were the team that helped reposition and market Febreze and Copperfit and Swiffer and Flawless. And they got serious pedigree in their background of creating creative content that creates a compelling value proposition leading to a buy decision. I mean, that's the bottom line. They're very good at it. So they took our story, they made it their own. We fashioned it and shaped it, started test marketing, and they're very much a test and prove company. They test it and modify, test and modify, test and modify. They're always refining. Okay, so that's perfect. We come in and say, "Yeah, we did the same thing for 8 years. That's why you have this great product." So it's a perfect combination. They did exactly what they said they would do, and they've hit all their marks. And now they're cranking along at about $4 million gross a month, 6,000 to 7,000 customers a day. And as of the end of the year, they're over 20,000 retail outlets, heading towards 25,000 retail outlets.
Wow.
They launched, direct to consumer, Walmart, Amazon, of course, Chewy, and now there's another 12 or 13 national accounts under contract. And so they report to us. This is very important. You know, a lot of times people say, "What's Poof going to do?" I said, "Look, man, our partner does the heavy lift there now." So what they report to us is they expect to do 20% quarter over quarter for another year. Okay, well, that's going to be 100% growth.
Nice.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
your end of that has helped your own revenues. I mean, obviously Q4 of 2023 is not out yet, but through Q3 of 2023, you were already well in excess of your previous annual high for
Oh
revenue.
yeah, no question. Yeah, almost 100% growth year over year for a couple of years in a row, and continuing. So we're
Nice.
gonna continue that trend. Yeah, it's perfect.
That's great.
And what happens is you get to the point where your cash flow really starts really exceeding your expenses. The beauty is because it's leveraging margin and replication, you're not adding infrastructure to see those numbers increase. I mean, that's the beauty. So all of a sudden, your marginal cash flow is just for BioLargo off the chart.
Well, and where BioLargo and BioLargo shareholders should really see the big payday down the road, though, is in your equity that's being built in this brand.
I know, and people forget that, and I'm glad you said that, because one of the arguments for the underlying value of BioLargo is the sum of its parts. And so it takes a deep dive. You know, you're not going to see that in the stock price. You got to kind of pull out your analyst hat and dig in. Okay, but for Poof, you know, Poof said to us when we started, and this is widely published, public information, we're going to take it to around 100 million in annualized run rate, and then we'll sell it. And when we sell it, it should sell for between 3.5 to 7 times revenue. Okay, so that's 350 to 700 million. All right, we get 20%. Hello, that's a big number. And of course, it's a big number for Poof, and they deserve it, right? So we made that deal. So underlying this, and again, remember that this is one category in a whole platform of technology. So there's all these other categories that haven't been touched for odor control: industrial, sports, general household, automotive, nursing homes. I mean, it goes on and on. Okay. And so we own the platform, they own the pet space.
That's great.
And then there's new products too that are in our portfolio that, again, we have a significant historical experience with, that include all sorts of absorbents, and all of those are about to launch. So I can't let the cat out of the bag yet, but they're coming like any minute, and
A
they'll
lot
be
of good
well
stuff.
received.
Well, and moving on, because we got a couple of big things to cover in a short amount of time.
Sure.
Clyra Medical, when you first told me about their wound care products, and this is yet another of your subsidiaries, your incubator companies, it was rather remarkable to me. Give us a really quick, so I want to get onto the battery story. Give us a really
The
quick
key for
version of
Clear,
Clyra.
yeah,
Sure.
no, it goes back to the origin story of the company. Remember, the inventors started the first technology platform to keep his dad safe from infection in the hospital.
Mhm.
And you know, he's a man of faith, and he said, he just put it right here under my nose. Now you got to do something great with it, right? High impact. You know, who are we, right? We want to make an impact. We want to change things for good. Okay. So that's how it started, all the way back 20 years later, almost 20 years. Uh, Big struggle. I mean, so hard to break into, high barrier to entry, extraordinarily expensive. And we cleared FDA just before COVID. And we really concentrated on one of the highest value, highest purpose usefulness for the market entry, and that's focused on orthopedic surgery. So we have cleared 510(k), and what we've proven is that it's robust. It's a antimicrobial platform that can be used on and in the body, on and in the body, in the body. You hear what I said, right? Leave it in the wound bed. It's astonishing. It's not a rinse out product. So when you're doing surgery, you irrigate as a way to provide additional antimicrobial support to inhibit the potential for infection. Okay, it's awesome. And it's so gentle, right, that it's not going to hurt your tissue, and there's no systemic toxicity. And it's got some components that are well understood to help advance the healing part of the body's process. I mean, it's a perfect design. And because of its low concentration, it's able to achieve very high result and have extended functional life, up to 3 days antimicrobial activity with no negative consequence. It also has biofilm efficacy. Biofilm is what happens when a bug protects itself from environmental threat. It protects a little mucosal membrane. Our chemistry pierces the mucosal membrane. Okay, so those features essentially make it potentially, arguably, number one in the world. We believe it's number one in the world. Now you have to get that word out, right? That's a big challenge.
and you have to clear regulatory, which we did. So now we've got this incredible body of evidence, and we're into the deal-making stage on really finding the right partner. And we've made public disclosure that we're in negotiation with global partners. We think we've got a good shot to head into success in Q1. And we're heading that direction. As we say, we're confident and optimistic. It ain't done till it's done. That's the caveat, of course. But we really wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't serious. And here's the way I'd say it. That's inevitably the path if it's not Q1. But we think Q1 looks really good. So we're really optimistic. So as I said many times, if you think Poof and the impact Poof has had on the company is great, wait do you see this one, Clear Medical?
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Last but certainly not least is one of your latest additions to the stable of technologies and products. You told me about this when we saw one another several months ago. You gave me the lowdown on it. A lot of information since. There's a couple of articles I've seen and even white papers from some prestigious global outfits under the title Battery Wars. There's an explosion in technology and competition between companies, between countries. Who's got the lion's share of the raw materials needed? Are they going to be lithium, nickel, cobalt? Are they going to be lithium iron batteries? What types of storage batteries are you going to have? And you were the first one, Dennis, that enlightened me on what a sodium-based and sulfur-based battery can do. And since then, lo and behold, I've seen word about this in numerous other places, a lot of prestigious magazines that we're showing here on the screen right now as we're talking. So you guys were about to start building a couple prototypes of your battery. Tell us how you got this technology and why this is something that may be an up-and-comer.
Yeah, so I'm going to go high level because in the interest of time, but it's an incredible story. And why is there an opportunity for us? That's really the question. Who's BioLargo? Who's BioLargo to play in the battery business? That's a decent question, right? Okay, so here's the answer. There's a gap in the market for long duration energy storage. Long duration. That batteries that last a long time in fixed site, not EV. Everybody thinks EV charging, batteries. It's like, no. This is batteries to balance the grid, to offload renewables. There's a thesis that we believe to be true, and that is that the grid's going down. Wait, what? What'd you say? I said, oh yeah, you cannot keep tapping the grid the way we're tapping it. And so when you think forward about the growth of EV and charging and the electrification of the planet, which is what's happening, right? And there's always a place for renewables, and there's a place for other energies to store in batteries. You got to feed the grid. The grid's how everybody lives, right, on electricity. But you can't afford for it to go down. If it goes down, mission critical operations go down, like hospitals, data centers, airports, okay? They can't go down. So what we're witnessing is this scramble for mission critical, but ultimately it's going to end up in your garage. And that is to make sure that you're self-sufficient with either access to a microgrid or access to a battery storage system that allows you to weather the ups and downs of the demand on the grid. So the government put out a bunch of tax credits. There's a 30% tax credit for solar and batteries or batteries. There's also a 10% made in America credit. There's also a battery manufacturing credit. Okay. So you pointed out there's a battery war. There's a battery war because there's massive incentives, because anybody looking out says battery demand is going to increase for the next 50 years. 50 years. Okay. So we were presented a battery by one of the co-developers, and he and his dad had put this together almost 10 years ago. Unfortunately, his dad passed away. It's a very sad story. For a prominent professor at the University of Tennessee, Joseph Chaya, C-A-J-A, and his son, Mario. So Mario actually joined our team, and he brought this innovation to us. Remember, our team is in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It's a very close community, a lot of people, 30 years of history. Mario brought the innovation and said, I think we got something pretty special. Now, we spent a year in diligence, a year, and we literally looked at 20,000 pieces of paper. And what was astonishing to us is these prominent inventors who had spent their career, right, 8 years of R&D, had gotten right to the point of commercialization for a sodium sulfur battery that we believe is the cutting edge of batteries for long duration energy storage.
and it fills a void. And the void is that, number one, it's safe. It has no runaway fire risk. I can't emphasize enough. Put up lithium battery fires. Do a little Google search. You're not going to believe it. And when they go up like Roman candles. I mean, they burn for days. So that's one. The second issue is that lithium has a bunch of issues, right? They create dendrites. Dendrites is when you charge to 100% and you discharge to 0%, and you tap the battery's function. At the electrodes, they build little deposits called dendrites. Dendrites impede the conductivity of the chemistry for the electrons that flow across the ion exchange across the electrodes, meaning they don't last as long, right? And these batteries, if you have them sit there, the traditional lithium batteries, they lose about 20% of their charge if they just sit there. Okay, we have none of that. 0 to 100%, no loss of energy, right? Virtually unlimited recycling, right? Cycle time, speed, cost, domestic supply, no rare earth, no cobalt, no nickel, no lithium. Okay, and we've got a cost of goods advantage, like an order of magnitude cheaper than lithium, an order of magnitude. Okay, so we believe not only can we compete with a better battery, we can compete with one that's cost effective and competes on price if they have to. Now, but look, there's over 40% tax credits. I mean, it's like, you got to go. And so really, we were so compelled. We looked at this and said, how can we miss it? Especially when you look at the infrastructure that we present. We have talent. We have smart people that know what to do. And again, it's not me, it's the engineers. All these scientists and engineers, they know what to do. So I said, look, we should make some batteries. That's the one thing. So we put about $1 million into a battery production facility. And here's the thing, it's only $1 million. It's not 100 million. Okay. And I said to our team, we have to make some batteries. The design sounds awesome, but until I have a battery in my hand, I got nothing. We need a battery. So we did that in about 4 months. And so we're going to start producing batteries in January. And that little production facility, we believe, even if now we're going to do something with it, right? We're going to leverage it. We're going to partner. We're going to do all these things. All these business opportunities are presenting. But if you just did that little factory that we made, that little bitty factory, can produce over 30 million a year.
Wow.
It's
And again,
astonishing.
this is not, so again, the thing to stress, and I think some of the early information and even a couple of people I talk with were a little confused. You're not looking to compete against batteries going into EVs. This is for grid power. This is for storage. Yeah,
Large scale. It's like a megawatt hour. Okay, a megawatt hour will fit in a 20-foot trailer. So
Wow.
so now you can also do a smaller unit, like a 25 kilowatt hour, and that would be the size of your air conditioner on the side of your house. Okay, so that would be the two products.
Okay.
Air conditioner size or trailer size. And the trailer size might go next to a hospital or next to a data center or go in the basement of an office building. And so it's about a 20-foot trailer. And here's the other thing. It runs at a higher temp. Okay, so think about that. So you say, oh, I don't like batteries at higher temp. You say, no. This one's better at higher. Lithium blows up at high temp. Okay, so in this one, we don't have parasitic load trying to cool it down.
Wow.
You like it hot. You like it hot. It's good. And again, not super hot. So we're optimizing around 160 to 180 C. So that's warm. So it goes to a molten state. It transports in solid state. You warm it up. It's ready to go. And it has a unique feature. You can actually store the energy and let it go to room temp. It'll store the energy almost indefinitely.
Wow. So
Yeah.
Dennis, tell us real quick as we get ready to close here, your timeline. So you're going to be producing some of these imminently, or you're in the works to do that now.
Q1. Yeah, Q1.
Okay, so are you looking at potential customers to give it a test drive? You're trying to prove how efficient and cheap these things are?
Yeah,
And-
so you'll need to do some UL certification before you really go commercial. That's important, just for safety protocol.
Sure.
We know it's safe, but you got somebody else to say it. So we'll do the third-party verification, and we're very confident in the output of what we're building. So we've put together the facility, and we'll produce cells. So let me just quick education. There's cells, and then there's packs of cells. So the little cells are what make up a battery. So a battery is a pack. Right? Now it can be a 25 kilowatt or it can be a 1 kilowatt, but a 25 kilowatt would run a house for maybe 6 to 7 hours, something like that. That's a nice situation. Or a megawatt hour would run a hospital for a day, right? Okay, so that's the order of magnitude.
Here's the thing that we learned, and this is one of the reasons I get so excited. There's a number of companies, big, some of the biggest names in the world, who are backlogged with orders over 2 years. 2 years backlog, okay? And I know of another company that's got a zinc battery, and they've got over $1 billion in backlog, $1 billion in orders. They're working to try and fulfill. What does it tell you? It tells you the demand is so insatiable that no matter what you scale up for production, you're going to sell 100% of what you make if you have a reasonably competitive battery. We've got features that make it better, okay? Not just as good, better. And so if you have better and you have reasonably skilled manufacturing, you literally can sell out your inventory before you make it. So no, we haven't done that yet. Okay, I've seen it happen. I'm predicting that we'll get orders ahead of manufacturing. And the thesis is real simple. We'll guarantee it's spec. We'll meet spec. It's going to show up. It's going to do exactly what we said it's going to do. But if you don't place an order, you're going to go to the end of the queue. And the queue is a long line. Yeah. So do you want batteries this year, or do you want another 2 years for the other guy? That's what's going to happen.
That's an offer they can't refuse, I think, in the end, a lot of them.
Well, we'll have to stand behind it. You know, there's the chicken and egg part. You know, people talk about it openly. And so I'm not trying to diminish that. That's real. But the fact that we could put a small facility with our own resources together and have a manufacturing facility in 4 months that can produce $30+ million a year. I mean, you could do 20 of those little projects and you got $100 million a year flowing through this business. And of course, it's technology that others are going to want. So just like Poof, just like Clyra, right? What do? We invent, we prove, and we partner.
Yeah.
Okay. So the battery's going to go the same way. The big boys are going to look at this and go, "Oh, thank you very much, Dennis. I'll take it from here." Anyway, it's a great
and that's when the cash register really rings.
I think so.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time at the company, you know. And again, I know you said it. You did say it. You got to do a deep dive, you know. Well, I even have old shareholders, you know, they've been here a long time, and they say, "Well, I'm watching the stock." I'm like, "No, you got to watch deeper than that. We're going to blow through that one day, and you'll never look back." And we're anxious for that too. You know, we've got so many people that have supported the business, and we feel obligated, of course, to perform and create and make money for them as an equity holder. And we're just now, you know, I've got analysts covering the company now, and you know what they universally they say. It was really painful getting here, but that's behind this company.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important now, you know, like a lot of small cap, micro cap stocks, BioLargo share price has been ho-hum for a while, but that's as the business has grown, revenues have been going up faster, a lot of boxes are being checked, and this is just a really, really cool story, folks. So again, BioLargo is going to be one of several of my favorite stories in an impending special issue on story stocks. Make sure that you are on my list to get that. And here one last time is BioLargo's contact information. Make sure you keep up with them. Spend some time at their website. A lot of cool stuff there that goes into way more detail than we've had time for today. So Dennis, I'm enjoying the ride with you, the success, and looking forward to more of it in 2024, my friend. So thanks for joining me, and we'll look forward to catching up here in person again one of these days soon.
And thank you so much. We love it, and go BioLargo.
All right, take care.
Take care.
For much more of the National Investor's cutting-edge content and actionable investment opportunities, make sure to subscribe to Chris's free content at nationalinvestor.com. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel too. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.